It's Ball Up Top Podcast.
Yes, sir.
I got my boy Jabari Ghosting with me.
You know what I
It's
mean?
Brad Jabari. What's up? We're
Chill,
here. Talk ball. Talk to me.
chilling, man. You know what I'm saying? It's been a nice little first opening week of NBA basketball. You know what I mean? Um, I don't even know where to start at for real. I guess I get started on.
Well, I can. First off, I just want to say, I just want to talk about the season preview pod
Oh yeah,
because it was a good look.
that was pretty good.
I think, yeah, I think it was a good look because we pretty much nailed everything. I just listened to the pod that we did. I was listening to earlier, and almost like we had a couple things that are kind of like wait and see or questionable.
Yep.
But like most of the stuff that we talked about, like the Knicks with Cat at the five and how Tatum was gonna eat, we talked about that. We talked about LaMelo looking like a all NBA, or you basically predicted that he was gonna look all NBA, and he has so far. And I was talking about Charles Lee, and
He's
I
good.
feel like, yeah, I feel like he's brought like a lot to the Hornets. We talked about JJ Reddick.
He's good too.
You was super high on the Lakers. You were saying like they were better than advertised, and I was kind of, but you were pretty high on them, and I said JJ was going to make them better, and I've been impressed. Like with JJ, we'll get into that. Like talk about it more. We had Trey Young. You was talking about like
Yeah, the
the
Hawks.
formula with the defensive wings, and we were talking about that, and that was pretty much came to fruition where the Hawks have looked real good. They even though they lost to OKC, they looked
And
good for most of that game,
I'm gonna be
and
honest,
they're learning.
they
They got a
lost to
lot of
Washington
young
too.
players, so we're going to talk about that too. But I feel like we just hit on a lot of stuff in the first pod. So like that just goes to show that we're doing the right thing by making this podcast because
Yes,
we're
sir.
talking about, we know what the fuck we're talking about. So I think that's just a good look. But anyways, we was right about a couple. We was looking like you brought up Santi Aldama
Oh yeah,
from
he's
Memphis
good.
too. He was bringing up. We talked about Denver might be finished, and that's what it's looking like. I mean, Jokic is backpacking them.
Yep.
Um, but like you talked about, I wasn't sure about Murray. I was hoping that he was going to bounce back. I wasn't sure like if he was going to be like done, but he looks kind of cooked. So you was right about that too. And I don't know. So far though, it's only been a couple games, so we
Right,
don't know
right,
like
right.
what's going to happen.
Anything can change in
Everything could
15
turn on us and
games.
we could look stupid.
I
But
said the
so
Warriors are gonna
far,
be good. And Curry, man, look at him.
that
He's
would
he's already injured.
he was wrong about the Warriors so far, but like it's just not looking good. But I'm not like completely like throwing in the towel on the Warriors. You know, you can't throw in the towel on anybody. I'm not throwing in the towel on the
Right.
Sixers. That's why I'm just like waiting to see on the Sixers because like who knows, because they obviously need Paul George and Joel Embiid. The team is built for it to have them. So
Right.
without them and Tyrese Maxey's doing his best Allen Iverson impression, taking as many field goals as he can, and basically, but and he hasn't like even looked as good as he should, but he put on a little extra weight, so I don't know, but he's gonna. The last game he played, he dropped 45, so he kind of got it together.
Right.
Who was that on Indiana?
Yeah,
Can't
yeah,
remember.
Indiana. He kind of
So
willed into.
I can't always with Indiana when players play Indiana, it's like career high night, and it's the same thing with kind of
That's
like
true.
with the
That's
Bucks a
true.
little bit. So so I can't like you got to take that with a little grain of salt, but no, I mean, we were just right about a lot of stuff. We was wrong about a
Yeah.
couple of things, but I feel like we were just hitting on the right things. So we talked about the Celtics and how Missoula might make them better, and it looks like he's kind of, I don't know, the players just keep getting better too. Like Pritchard was lighting it up tonight. Like there was just, I don't know. Even like Tatum had an off game, but obviously Jalen and Derek and all them still stepped up. So it was a what's his name? What's the ref?
Oh, Tony Brothers.
Tony
Yep.
Brothers. It was a fucking Tony Brothers masterclass that game. Like Dame Lillard had 18 fucking free throws and Tatum had two, and Tatum was going to the line. I mean, going to the basket like crazy and still not getting no calls. So it was a kind of an ugly game, but we don't have to talk about that one because at least we won. That's all that
Yeah,
matters, really.
yeah, I'm gonna see how it looks when I go back and watch. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see.
Yeah, you
But
can watch it.
when I did tune in, yeah, I did see Tatum was
Stinker. He had his first stinker of
yeah,
the year. I gotta admit, but I wasn't that mad because I went looked over at Luca's game,
yeah.
and
Luka
so I
was
knew the
pretty
trolls couldn't
bad.
get on me because the trolls would get on me about Tatum. They couldn't get on me because Luca is shooting like fucking 3 for 20. So that's how I'm like, all right, I don't have to worry about it. I have no trolls in my comments today, but all right, let's get into like the real basketball stuff, real NBA stuff. So first question I got for you: are we sleeping on the Cavs?
Oh yeah, honestly, the Kenny Atkinson acquisition. I don't think we spoke on the Cavs in the first episode, but the Kenny Atkinson acquisition just offensively, it just seems like their engine is running much better, and Evan Mobley has taken a clear lead just as an offensive player.
Yeah,
And I just
they got
now
him
that
bringing the ball up.
yeah, now the Mobley and Jared Allen combination offensively seems a little bit better. They seem to got Garland going again. Last year I think after he broke his jaw, he was kind of a different player for pretty much. He lost weight. He had to drink through a tube for like I think like a month and a half or something like that. So yeah, when he came back, he wasn't all the way right, and he had a pretty much a down year from there on. Because the start of the season, he was actually really good. He's really efficient, and he broke his jaw in the Celtics game, and he just quite wasn't the same player the
Right.
remainder of the season. But right now, it seems like he's back. So I think that really does help them. It alleviates some of the pressure off Mitchell. Mitchell doesn't feel like he has to do everything because honestly, in the next game tonight, they let Darius close it for the most part. I don't think Mitchell got too many touches in that last 3 to 4 minutes because Garland was doing his thing. So I think
Sometimes he has it that night, and it's
yeah,
time for Garland because he can do that.
he can do
Go,
that.
keep going.
Yeah, he's a very good combo guard. Garland's actually one of my favorite players in the NBA. So I do watch I watch a lot of Garland because I just like the way he can play
He's one
on
of
and
the
off.
he's one of the like pure point guards that's still left too.
Right. That's really
So I
why
like that about him.
that's really why I like him because he gets the ball. He spreads the ball around a lot and he doesn't really care if he has it in his hands or he doesn't. Really, he's cool on and off
Right.
the ball, and that's kind of how you need. That's kind of what you need from your point guards in
Yeah, and
today's
he
game. In my
obviously
opinion, he's a
everybody
very good
says they
passer.
should break him up, but like just like people randomly mention they should break up because of the defense, which I understand. But yeah, I would like to see Garland even get the ball even more because I think that he can pass a little better than
Yeah,
Donovan Mitchell.
when Garland gets the ball, good things happen. And honestly, tonight, Darius Garland was pretty good defensively. So
He was holding up. So that's the key, really. But Jared Allen's looking great too for them. So
yeah,
I
he's been
don't
getting
know.
some
Like,
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar comps from the commentators over the past 2 games. That's just pretty funny, but I can see why they say that. Just the way he kind of plays, it's kind of like an old school kind of
yeah,
game. So
and he's going to catch lobs. He's going to do his thing.
yep.
I think that the Cavs are really like poised to, at least be like a 3 or 4 seed. And Kenny Atkinson has always been a good coach to me. So I think that he was good at Brooklyn, and it kind of was a shame that he got fired the way
He
he
got
did.
fired the way, yeah, exactly. Because I liked for Golden State. I'm pretty sure he did a lot of our offensive stuff, and he's pretty good in Golden State. He's been an
But
assistant
I'm
there for
gonna be
like two,
honest
three
about the
years.
Cavs. Like they don't like scare me as much as Orlando for the Celtics.
Okay.
And we haven't seen the Sixers yet, and I've
Uh-huh.
seen the Knicks, and I know that Tatum's gonna feast on the Knicks because he loves
Right.
playing cat more than anyone. So I'm like not worried about the Knicks, even though I think the Knicks are gonna have a good season.
Uh-huh.
But just talking about like when we get to the deep in the playoffs, I think that Orlando and I think Cleveland could give us a good run, but they don't have like the wing
Right.
like guy
That's right. Right. I feel
that they really need.
I feel like
But
Cleveland is.
against most teams, they're gonna cook and keep going.
I about to say I feel like Cleveland is a wing away, but I do like the fact that the the two combo guards, they can like control games in spurts by themselves. So it's
Yeah,
kind
and they can
it's
stagger,
weird.
and they
Yeah.
have a good like 82 game team because Mitchell can take the weight and Garland can take the weight. So like
Hmm.
they can kind of Mitchell doesn't have to really like overexert himself or like do too much, so they can be over the court more consistent over a course of 82. If they don't get hurt and everything, they're going to be a
Right.
really good team because they have the talent to win games and the players, the engines, like two of them. So that's why they're good. I think that people are sleeping on the Cavs, but I just think people don't talk about them for whatever reason because they got a fun team.
They do.
But I think that they could be better than the Knicks and the Sixers. Like in the regular season, it's possible, like very possible, that they're going to be better record wise. So it already looks like they might be to me. But the
Yeah.
Knicks are going to be a good regular season team too. But who knows with the Sixers, with the injuries and everything else. Um, but let's get into the Lakers because I want to hear what you got to say about your Lakers because you were saying that they were going to be way better than expected, and JJ Redick has got them like he's got them playing like a professional, like Darvin Ham. The stuff that I've seen from JJ Redick, they were not doing with Darvin Ham.
Right.
The spacing, they're
Yep.
actually spacing out like even like they giving each other space. Like
Yep.
they're stepping a foot behind the 3 point line. They're not clogging each other's space. It's kind of like what I was saying, how he was going to bring a little Joe Mazzulla kind of to the Lakers, and that's what he's done. And it's surprising because all those guys look confident in the system, and I feel like Rui has gotten like in the few games that I watch him, he looks more confident. AD looks amazing. AD's
Uh-huh.
my MVP so far, and they just lost. But like, just overall, like if he's gonna play like this, see the thing with AD for me has been that he plays like amazing like this for a game, and then he
Uh-huh.
goes like 2 games where he just kind of don't, and then he goes back to playing amazing, and it's just like on and off. And every player does has bad games, but it was just it's not
Right.
he doesn't have bad games, but offensively I'm talking about because he's always good at defense and his instincts are better than anyone's besides maybe Draymond Green in
Right.
the whole NBA. His instincts, like he can like steal the ball and block the alley oop or deflect the ball, and he's like in 3 different places at once. AD's crazy on defense, but yeah, so he's my MVP like so far, and SGA and Tatum are right there, and probably James Harden, but the Lakers look amazing, and I think that most of it has to do with JJ Reddick. So I got to give it up to him.
Right.
But you talk to him about him because I'm trying to take your talk. That was your
Oh no,
prediction
no,
that the
no,
Lakers are
no.
going to
I
be
mean,
good.
it's fine,
No,
but like,
go man.
but now, pretty much my thing with the Lakers is like you said with Rui. My biggest thing with Rui, honestly, that he's rebounding consistently, especially on the, he's especially crashing the offensive glass a lot. I have
And they're
liked that
bringing a
from
little
Rui.
defense.
Yeah, man,
I
and
mean, he never really played. Every
right,
time I watch Rui, it's like, bro, you're too like athletic to not be good on defense.
inconsistent defensive effort. I do agree with that. Yep.
And
Yes,
he's been good on that end. But keep going.
yeah, I do. Yeah, I do like Rui. He's also kind of re-unlocked Reeves in some ways. He's kind of putting him in different positions where he can be successful in. I do like that about them. I like the Spurs that they play connecting. Even though I don't think Connect. I missed the first half of the game. I'm not sure if Connect played. But I like them. I like the Christie minutes. He's pretty good defensively. And then AD, he's just holding everything together. And LeBron's been off to a slow start, but we know how he does. He usually does get
He
off
had
slow
a good
starts.
fourth quarter the other night. He's
Yeah,
gonna
he
do
did. He
that where
did. He
he's
did.
gonna
Yeah, the
catch
Kings
fire
game.
or
Right.
yeah, and he's still gonna get his assists and stuff. I like that. Like you said, Reeves is gonna be like a playmaker because he's probably the second best pass. Well, maybe D'Angelo Russell's a good passer, but you know how I feel about D'Lo. I don't like him on the team really at
Right.
all. Like, I don't even want him on the team. I would trade him. Like, but that's just how I feel about it because he's slow footed. He's so slow footed, and I feel like they need somebody that can move at that position. I
Right.
think it would bring them to another level if he would, But that's for another day. But right now, I think that Reeves is one of the best decision makers and playmakers on the team, and he can just like he's crafty, and so I feel like JJ's bringing the best out of him, and I think JJ's breathing confidence into him and telling him nobody believes in you, and like nobody
Yep.
thinks that we're gonna be shit this year, but like we got the talent, and he's probably and they got AD shooting more threes.
Yep.
AD looks amazing right now. I don't know what his training like has been. I heard that like Windhorse was saying that he was like in the best shape out of everyone at Team USA. That's what he
Yeah, he
was
was.
saying about
Yeah.
AD. And when I heard that, that kind of like caught me because you don't hear that about AD that much. So that's
Right.
probably has a big reason why he's been playing the way he's playing right now. So I think, um, yeah, JJ's doing a great job. Like they're gonna still have rough patches, and if they get injuries, they're gonna be like if AD gets hurt, especially or LeBron, um, it's gonna be bad. But right now, I can only say like good things about the Lakers,
Yeah,
and
the
it's not
Lakers.
easy for me to do that.
Yeah, the Lakers have been a pleasant surprise to most people.
And I like watching them. They're
Yeah,
actually a
yeah,
fun
yeah.
watch now.
They're fun to watch because they're just actually running a offense for those guys. He's not just telling them to go out there and play like Ham was, to be honest. So yeah, I do like a lot of the things that I've seen from the Lakers,
You can
especially.
see, and I don't like to shit on coaches because like people don't understand how hard it is to ever become an NBA head coach. Like, so
Exactly.
you have to know a lot of basketball. But Darvin Ham compared to JJ Reddick, and JJ Reddick's a rookie head coach. Like that shows me that JJ's really been waiting for this moment,
Uh-huh.
and he's probably got a good team around him and stuff. But it also shows me that like Darvin Ham, like I was sleeping on the Lakers, and a lot of it probably had to do with Darvin Ham because they weren't running
Yeah,
shit
he just
right.
wasn't.
So
Yeah, he just wasn't. He wasn't doing what was necessary for those guys
no.
to be able to succeed. He wasn't putting guys in positions to succeed. Like you can't go to a conference finals with a lineup, right? And then you don't play that lineup the entire year. That's insanity. That's why the guys quit.
Yeah, and that's when, because that shows uncertainty too. Like
Right.
even if you're gonna start the same lineup even for a few minutes, and then if you got to switch it, but don't like bring uncertainty to the team at the very last second. I wouldn't do that. At least as a coach. But I want to get into something fun too because I've been watching Chet.
Oh yeah, Chet. He's taking the leap.
Amazing.
He's taking the leap.
He's taking the leap. He's looking like uh white big ticket slash.
Yeah.
He's doing some Giannis type shit. Like he was dunking on people. His defense is like defensive player of the year level. Um, so far, and like I'm super impressed with Chet. But like my question, because Paolo just dropped 50 tonight, 13 rebounds, 9 assists. Also, I think on Indiana, right? So, and I was watching the Celtics game, but I was like, well, I watched the highlights after, and like I
All
was
right.
just watching him. And when his threes hitting, Paolo's unstoppable.
Yes.
And it's kind of like Tatum, same thing, but like, and they have very similar like games. And but even Paulo's even a little bigger than Tatum, so it's even
Okay.
more like unstoppable because if it's his threes hitting, then he gets the advantage because if you have to close on him, it's over. And then his pass game, I mean, for how young he is, his decision making and his passing is really good. So, um, but and then we got Wemby. So the reason why I bring in Wemby into the discussion because Chet is kind of like always compared to Wemby, and he's
Uh-huh.
kind of always compared to Paolo because he was drafted in Paolo's draft class. And then, so it's always like Paolo, who would you rather have, Paolo or Chet?
Follow
And
Chet.
then you
Right.
also got people that like to compare Chet to Wemby. So my question to you, because I know me and you have like kind of reservations about Wemby, even though obviously we know that he's going to be like I'll go right on the record saying he's obviously going to be a Hall of Fame player right now.
Right.
But I'm talking about, I think all three of these players are going to be Hall of Fame players. So I say that to say, who's better right now? Like, who's the better player? Paulo, Chet, or Wemby? And then tell me your reason.
Honestly, I probably have to go Paolo. Honestly, because he's actually the one that's like because well for Wim I can't say Wimby because he's not necessarily a great offensive engine yet. And
Right.
he like you feel me? He affects the game like in multitude of ways. Especially, I think the most underrated thing about Wimby's game is actually his passing. He's actually, to me, one of the best passers like in the NBA in some rights because
Very good
simply
passer. And
just
he
just
will be.
right
He'll
just
be
because
he's only getting better, yeah.
right just because he's 7'5", he can literally just see over the defense
And he can palm it
and he can right.
and so he can do that like Bill Walton shit that
Yep.
all over the place and or Jokic. So like
Right.
anyways,
Right.
keep going.
Yeah, but like I do like that aspect of Wemby's game, but I just think the problem with him right now is that he can't necessarily be the number one on an offense just the way on how his game is played because he likes to take a lot of jump shots and he's 7'5". The way he plays right now, just
Yeah.
pretty much
It's
perimeter or
aggravating
yeah,
watching sometimes
yeah,
the stuff
perimeter
that he goes through.
oriented, but I
Yeah.
understand why they're letting him do that because I feel like they're just trying to like allow him to expand his game, just so he can have this stuff later in his career along with what they're gonna add with the interior stuff. But he's just a much better player around the rim right now. So I would prefer if he were to get around the basket more. But
Yeah.
just that's the reason why I can't pick Wemby right now, even though his defense is great. He just can't lead a team
Yeah.
right now as a
Well,
number one.
Wemby's third on my list right now. So
Yeah, I have
keep
Wemby third. Yeah, I would have to put Wemby third too,
and
and then
I love Wemby's game. I mean, no, hold on. I don't love Wemby's game. I love Wemby's defensive game. I don't love Wemby's offensive game, even though he's obviously super super talented and he can go off for 30 in a night. It's not like he can't.
all right.
I just think that against a good team or a good defensive player, even they don't even have to be a center, and you could take Wemby out
Yep.
of his game. And so, and he definitely can't be a number one right now, scoring wise, because his shot selection, he's shooting from like 35 feet. And not saying that I don't. That's the dilemma with him is because you said like they're trying to let him expand. Because what if he keeps doing all this, and then one day it just all
He
clicks,
also right. He
and
has
then it's just
everything.
like, bro, this is the best player we've ever seen,
Right.
like by far. If it clicks, it's like 7'5" KD. But this is the difference. I was watching KD at Texas hit shots. like consistently hit shots at people's faces and shaking his head at people. Like I don't see that at Wemby. I see more of a like I think he has a determination, like a Giannis. So I
Right.
want to see him more down. I would like to see him more attack, even if it's face up. Obviously, he's not a post player. If he ever did learn how to do a hook shot, like and make it, it'd probably be like the most unstoppable thing. But I hope he doesn't because then the NBA would probably be ruined. But like he's, but if he just spaces up and does like some Tim Duncan more, like you're coached by Greg Popovich. Like why are you not like facing up closer to the basket or getting at the high post so he could just take one dribble, one even drop step, spin
Right.
move, and he's literally dunking on people. Why are you setting the ball up out here? Like,
At the 3-point line.
and then he's so big, he's so like long and stuff. Okay, say we're in the finals. Say in the future they got in like Wemby's in the finals against an elite defender, like a Drew Holiday or something, and he's trying to dribble up the court. They're gonna rip that. You're not going to be able to pull that off in a big high stakes game, in a big play, in a big moment, like in the fourth quarter, trying to be like KD. They're going to rip you because you're so big and long, and like they're going to get in your way. You can't. You're not like twitching. Like you're not like loaded enough to
You're
the
not like
ground to
quick
be
twitch. Right.
twitchy enough to like maneuver away. So it's kind of like KD. If you get in front of KD and he's going one direction, he can't switch to the other direction that fast. He used to be able to, like in his prime, he was better at that. But now, especially if you get in front of him while he's like kind of got a couple steps speed, picked up his speed, he can't change direction, and that's kind of like Wemby too. So I say that to say why he should be doing stuff where he's only got to dribble once or twice, and
Right.
he's
Right.
to his play. And so I hope that they get into that. But I want you to tell me why Paolo's number one.
Just simply because he's the only one that can effectively be the number one on the team right now. Like as much as I do
Yeah,
love Chet, I think he's right now probably. I mean, I think he can maybe develop into a second option coming into this season. Maybe, maybe,
he
but I
looks like
think
it right now.
right, because I think
He
he
looks
has.
like the number two over
Yeah, I think he
Jalen.
surpassed J Dub. Right. But I think they're both kind of like twos in a way. It's kind of like their dynamic is actually pretty cool in my
Paulo
opinion.
is a clear number one,
Right on his team, and
like
he's like
automatic number one. He might be even a top 10 number one in the league right now.
right. And that's why I would pick Paolo right now because simply he's an engine of an offense, not to take away from Chet's defense because Chet's
Yeah.
defense is like you said, all NBA level, all defensive like defensive player of the year level. But just the fact that Paolo can currently lead a team as an engine is the reason why I'd pick Paolo number one.
Yeah, I think it would be a hard pick. Like if they had to go back again and to the Orlando to pick, I think they would take Paulo again.
Right,
I
because
I
if you
think they would consider Chet though.
right yeah because if you take Chet, you don't have you have a really good defense even but the thing is they still have a very good defense with Paolo. But
Right.
if you take Chet, you have a really good defense and you don't have an engine for
They would
offense.
have like a crazy defense and less offense. So for
Right.
Orlando, it doesn't make sense because they need offense more than anything. And he's an engine. He's a hub. And
Yep.
I think that Paulo is going to be a top five to like maybe even higher player. He has potential to be the best player in the
No,
league.
he does. He does.
Like one day. Like not saying that he's gonna be, but he has potential if he's three balls hitting. If he's ever hitting like pull up threes at like a 38, 39% clip, um, yeah, he's gonna be pretty much you're gonna have to double team him every time. And then he's good enough passer. He's gonna tear you apart and he's gonna be in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics in like 2 years. I'm calling it right now. Maybe even this year. But I'm just like soon. I feel like that.
Yep.
Um, and he's just got to get more consistent because he has games where he scores like 12
Where he's like
points.
12 point. Right. I was. That's funny. I was actually gonna say 12. Yeah, son. But yeah, like yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that's what I mean. Like, and that's kind of like the games where Franz goes off, and that's kind of how I relate them to the Jays because like sometimes when Tatum doesn't go off, like tonight,
They're picking each
Tatum
other
had
up.
like a stinker. Yeah, so that's why the Celtics are so good because Tatum has a stinker one out of every like 3 or 4 games, and then Jalen comes and scores 30.
All right.
So, and that's why it's good to have two. That's why when I hate when people try to pin Jalen and Tatum against each other and say, "Oh, this guy's the best," because I'm like, shut up, because they need each other because that's how they carry the weight through the season. Tatum can't do everything by himself,
Right.
and neither can Jalen. But if they come together and do like carry a certain amount of the workload, And I think I see that with them, and that's building more and more with the Magic. Like where Franz, he's even shooting a little better this year,
Yeah,
like so far. And so
I think it's
Franz
like
doesn't play
40%
this,
right now.
and I think that's a big reason why Paolo saw that Franz wasn't playing tonight, and he said,
Just took
and
over.
that's why he dropped 50 because he started feeling, he started getting a little more loose, knowing that I don't have to pass the ball today to
Right.
really anyone. I don't have to worry about anybody else's shots. Like so, and he just started splashing. Because sometimes I feel like players when they get that, I don't know, certain players if they feel like they have the super green light, then that's when I don't know they catch fire. If they got to think too much, or if they that's why it takes a while. Even like it took like the Heatles with LeBron and Wade a while because
They have to figure out
they're
that
used to
dynamic.
having like the super green light, and now it's like they got to look over and they start thinking too much, and it takes a while to like figure it out. But that's what they're going through right now, and it even took like the Jays a long time to learn that. And sometimes um, it's still like you can tell that they're like figuring it out together, but most of the time
Right.
they do got to figure it out. But I want to talk about Chet for a second
Okay.
because I think that if you're the Magic, you do take Paolo, but I think that if you're OKC, you could
You have to.
possibly
Yeah.
make a case to take like if they had the number one pick, they might take Chet because and this is talking about right now. Like I'm talking about right now. So like maybe like all GMs are like saying right now if they were watching this, they would say, well, obviously we would take Wemby, and I know that. I know
Right.
that I would take Wemby, like because I wouldn't be stupid. I'm not gonna be like, oh, like and take Paolo over Wemby long term because I think that Wemby has a chance to be the best player we've ever seen,
Hmm.
and so I'm not gonna be like ignorant to that fact. But I'm just saying right now if for the season. Say we had to pick a player for the season, like I gotta win the championship this year, and I need to pick one person. I think that Chet fits OKC because his defense is crazy. His defense is like I was talking about last pod. Is like Kevin Durant. I mean, excuse me, Kevin Garnett level close or not there yet, but close and getting there. And he's defensive player of the year level, and he's not like shooting the three good, but like his mid range and his attack in the basket has gotten way better. I've seen him do
Right.
some Giannis type of shit near the rim lately, and so I think his ceiling is super high, and Chet could be like the best player in the NBA too, or like close. And it's crazy because Shea is his teammate, who
Who's
also could
already
be
one
the
of the
best
best players
player
in
in
the
the
NBA.
NBA.
Right.
So that's why I was saying last pause. I think OKC is going to be like a dynasty or going to be in the finals for a couple of years because look, they got two of the best players and possibly be top five. So that's crazy. And then the rest of their team is loaded. Like you were posting about Topic that they haven't even brought
Oh yeah. Oh man.
over.
Man. I was just rewatching this film today, and it's just so crazy that OKC was able to snag him at 12 just because he had an ACL injury, a partial ACL injury at
Yeah, and
that.
they
The
haven't even
fact,
brought this guy over, and
right?
they're loaded. It's just
And
like
he's not in. I kind of don't like the Josh Giddey comparisons because he's kind of nothing like Giddey because he's the actual driver. He's an actual finisher. He can actually get downhill. He has more touch than Giddey, and he has a better chance of becoming a good jump shooter than Giddey. So it's like, man, it's actually it's crazy how they're moving with the assets, to be honest. So
and they
yeah,
got Case of Wallace. I mean, I just
and
like their
Kasem,
team, and I
yep,
was talking about their roster, how their roster's the best roster besides the Celtics to me. And going forward, like long term, like they might even have a better roster with all their assets and everything.
right,
So yeah, we're high on OKC, but let's get into something else. So this is like more of a negative moment, negative like conversation, but like the Nuggets, I feel bad for Jokic right now.
yeah, he's out
Um,
there by himself, man.
and the Bucks look old,
Well, him and
and
Gordon, I won't exclude Gordon. Gordon's been pretty good.
yeah, and Michael Porter Jr. is going to have a couple good games, but oh man, Murray, he doesn't look the same, and
Inconsistent.
I feel
I
like
think.
it's not going to be. It's I don't know. He might not get it back. Last part I was saying that he's still underrated and that he's going to be fine, and but I don't know, man. It doesn't look right.
Yeah, the main thing with me to Murray is, especially because when I went to go watch Minnesota and Denver play last year, Nas was out, Rudy was out, and Cat was out. And what I noticed about Murray is that just his burst and his separation isn't the same, and every shot he takes is a tough shot. Every
Yeah.
shot is a tough shot. He's just living off a tough shot diet, so it's very hard to be. And he's a special
So that's
shot
a game
maker,
of inches. That's a game of inches when you're
right?
playing like that.
Right,
So if you
right.
lose like an inch of burst, then that could affect your tough shot making.
Yeah, I just think that it's like just the fact that all of his shots are taken. He's a special shot maker. Don't get me wrong. It's just hard to live off that diet of shots consistently, especially when you can't get to the rim and you aren't getting fouled as much either, and you're not really a volume 3 point shooter. It's just very hard to be consistent with a heavy diet of tough contested mid range jumpers. It's just
And
very
then
hard to do it.
Jokic, I said that he might be unmotivated, and I'm not going to say that he's unmotivated because he's been carrying them on his back, 40 points like every game and going crazy. But also, Jokic has got to be feeling. You heard it in his press conference when
Yeah,
he was saying, "Yeah,
he
some
feels
of
like they're
us
not
can't
good enough.
shoot, or like we're not good shooters or consistent shooters." He said, like basically telling the GM and the owner, like,
Hey,
"What do you want, man? Like, I don't have anybody that shoots the ball on the team." And we called that. We said we aren't going to have any spacing besides Murray and MPJ. Without KCP, Christian Braun is they're not guarding him, and so he has does all these like little intangible things that I see on the court. But if they're not going to guard him, then it just affects the team negatively on
all right,
offense so much. And then they don't really guard Aaron Gordon, and and then if Jokic is going to like shoot a lot of threes, but nobody they'd rather Jokic shoot.
right,
Like so they don't really run
then be
out
by
at
the
him
rim.
because they'd rather him just take the shot. And so they don't have any spacing and it's just not good. And then Russ might have to be cut or let go soon because how bad
He's
he's
really
playing.
bad. He's been really the Dario Sarge and Russell Westbrook lineups have actually been like terrorism. Like it's actually pretty crazy. It's actually
Yeah,
been it's been
and
that
it,
bad.
and I follow some Nuggets fans and they're just like, man, so done with it. And they just had uh like the worst luck with backups, man. Like every backup person that they bring, they just I don't know. Like I feel like, oh, this might work. Even Sarge, I was like, it might work because that whole thing about Jokic makes everybody better. He does, but he can only do so much. Like,
You can only cover so many holes, especially when the problem with Dario and Nicola is pretty well because and this is where the Deron Holmes Achilles tear really does hurt Denver because he was really a switchable 4-5 who could stretch his floor a little bit, and he was an athlete that could rim protect also, right? So now with him off of the roster, it's just Dario and Nicola. Neither one of those guys are rim protectors.
no
Peyton
way.
Watson's a good defender, but he doesn't bring you any offense. Their only hope, their only glimmer of hope would probably be Julian Strother, who can replace some of what KCP can give you, and also I think he's just a better offensive player than KCP in my opinion. I think he has a little more juice. I think he can kind of replace some of what Jamal Murray does a little bit with just like the burst and being able to get downhill and things like that. But outside of that, I think the rest of their roster is pretty
It's
limited
suspect.
in a lot of ways.
And I don't know if who's worse off. Like, I think the Nuggets might even be a little worse off than the Bucks, but the Bucks didn't look that good tonight when they was playing against. Like for a little while, Giannis looked.
You're right,
You
Giannis. Yeah,
can't guard
Giannis is always
Giannis,
gonna give you a
and
chance.
Horford like did his best, like he usually does, which is a pretty good job. But um, yeah, Giannis. But man, him and Dame don't really like. It just
They don't
doesn't
fit together.
flow. It don't flow good, and Dame is used to having his own team, and Giannis
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have like Giannis is used to just he needs the
Doing
ball in
his
his
thing.
hands. He can't. He's not like a real power forward. Like he's not a
Right.
Karl Malone that can play off a point guard. He doesn't have those like skills. He's just he is what he is. He's Giannis, and he can't do the things where you gotta like. It's not that he can't do them. He doesn't do it like consistently.
That's not how he plays. It's kind of like I'm Giannis. Oh, I'm Dame. Which is why they
Yeah,
look so
pass me the
good.
ball. No, pass me the ball.
Right.
I'm
It's
Dame. I'm gonna
right.
take over this shit. No, I'm Giannis. I'm gonna take over this shit, and it's just like a hero show.
Right. That's why I think that's really why their units when they're not playing together work so well because those guys are just used to being able to play with whatever they want to do they can do and that's just how they like
Yeah.
to play. So
And
I
it's worked for them their whole career, so I can understand it. But this is the second year of it, and the offense was all right. And I mean, Dame was just getting to the line. Like I'm just talking about tonight, but the offense is always going to be good because you have Giannis and Dame. But the real
right.
problem is defense. Obviously, I mean, Peyton Pritchard was torching them, and he hit a buzzer beater like he always does because that's what Pritchard does is hit buzzer beaters, and he's like the goat of buzzer beaters. Like I don't think I've ever seen anybody better, but you saw how deflated Doc Rivers when he hit that buzzer beater. Doc Rivers just like he dropped his whole head and everything, and he was just done, man. I just feel like that team is. they all know that this shit is not going to work.
Yeah,
And I just feel like no motivation from that team when I watched them. I didn't feel inspired. Like even Giannis was trying to do his thing 1-on-1, but it was just like everything was like not flowing good, and
right.
not they weren't like moving the ball around. Like Brooke Lopez doesn't look the same. Like Brooke Lopez was getting guarded by Tatum the whole game. That's the one good thing that Tatum did the whole game was I was like, damn, he's guarding Brooke Lopez in the post and shit.
Yeah,
And I'm like, Brooke Lopez, prime Brooke Lopez would have
that's
torched
never happening
Tatum in
though.
the So I don't know, man. No, Brooke Lopez is washed. Looks like, and they're gonna need to trade him or Middleton. They need Middleton back too, but they're gonna have to make a trade. And I don't know. It's not looking good for the Bucks.
Yeah,
But that was
Milton.
our like negative portion of the podcast. I don't want to keep being
Yeah,
because
too
like
crazy.
there's so much fun shit to talk about with the NBA season so far, like how it's been. And so like I don't want to talk about the. By the way, I want to send my condolences to Taylor Hendricks because I saw that earlier today.
Man, man,
So
I loved him as a prospect coming out of that draft. Man, he was gonna be so special on the
damn,
defensive
man,
side.
that looks career changing, and damn, I feel so bad. I know Danny Ainge liked him too a lot, so and he's a good defender. So it sucks, man. He looked like he slipped on water or something, and that shit was hard to watch. But so that's the we're done with negativity now. So let's talk about the all-time floor raiser.
James Harden.
Yeah, James Harden, man. Wow, like I'm watching him and he doesn't have nearly the burst that he used to, but he just figured out
Still
ways.
getting
He's
it
such a
done.
hooper. He's such a baller. Like he just plays, man. He just finds a way. Like now, it's like mid range game, and he still does like the foul baiting. But man, his passing, one of the most underrated passers ever, and he's just a floor raiser. Like I saw somebody say that like the other day, and it was so accurate. Like he's the all time floor raiser. He might not get you, and I still think that we talked about this last ball, but I still think that like Harden in the Rockets with CP might have had a chance against the Warriors, but when he was in his pinnacle in his prime. But like even now, man, he's just so smart. It's just crazy. Like they beat a couple good teams, and it's just like when he said he's the system, like he really meant that shit. He is a
Yeah,
system. So,
yeah. I
but what
can't.
do you think about it?
Yeah, what Harden's doing at this age, pretty much being a heliocentric ball handler at 35, is pretty crazy to be honest. I mean, I can't. I
Mm.
mean, he's been an Iron Man for most of his career. He kind of got injuries on the back end when he went to like Brooklyn and Philly and things like that. But yeah, man, just the fact that he's able to still do this is just insane. Honestly, especially with the pieces that the Clippers have around him. I mean, they're not bad pieces necessarily, but those aren't like but those aren't like guys that can they can fit a role, but they aren't really like they're not guys in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like a guy like DJJ. I mean, he was on the finals
Mm.
team, but he's a solid starting wing in the NBA, but he's nothing crazy. You got Terrence Mann out there. I mean, and he's had Zubac having like playing like the best stretch of his career right now, which just
Yeah,
shows you just how
Zubac
good
looks
Harden
like
is.
yeah he likes Zubac and he keeps gassing Zubac
Oh,
up
I
because
do.
like he knows that like that's his bread and butter. He's always worked well with a big, and so
Yeah,
and Zubac is pretty skilled. He's more
yeah he's the most skilled.
skilled than
I think he's the most skilled big that he's ever played with, to be honest, Zubac. And also
yeah.
forgot to mention Norman Powell. He's been going crazy too. Amir
He's
Coffey,
been
guys like that.
he's been great, and like I think that Harden is gonna have a good season. Like regardless of what happens with Kawhi, he's gonna have a good season. I think they might could make the playoffs if Harden's gonna be able to stay healthy and everything. He's motivated. He looks like he's in shape. Like he looks kind of skinny
Yeah, he
comparative
is.
to how he has in past years. So I don't know. He's just fun to watch. And like you were saying, like they don't have like they just have like a bunch of weird players kind of
I mean,
around Harden.
a bunch of good, not great NBA players that Harden is
Right.
making them
But
play
all Harden need, and that's all
above.
Harden ever like was good with,
Right.
like, or that he ever worked with. He just needs you to be like right here
Just be
at
solid.
the just, and he's gonna tell you that I just need you to be right here and do this. Like he's gonna tell every person exactly what they need to do, so the shit's gonna work. And so he is a system when it comes to like floor raising. He can take the ball. Now, if you got to fit him into a contender, it'd be a lot different. But right now in this like spot, this is almost the perfect spot for him to be like just to play good ball. So I got to bring him up because I think that he's probably top five in my MVP right now. Um, just because of what he's doing with the Clippers now. They could fall off, and but right now, what he's doing, he's definitely up there. So what else? We could talk about Shea and Tatum because I think that Tatum is like make taking another leap. Obviously, his shot's better, so his confidence has gotten better. And Shea, I was watching him against the Hawks, and
He was everywhere
man,
defensively in that game.
everywhere defensively, so good defensively. Basically, gave Trey a fit, but he doesn't just guard like he's so good. He doesn't just guard like Trey Hill. He can switch on other players, but
Yeah, he's a
also he
great
could
gap
be
defender too.
and he's a gap defender. And if you pass it to like say Trey makes a pass, he's like on the guy he passed it to, and he's
Right.
like ripping the ball from him too. He's super good on defense. He's instinctive and he's long, and I love him on defense. He's probably one of the best star guard defenders like for a star since Dwayne Wade. I think he's one of the best I've seen for like a superstar player. Um, and that's rarefied air, like to be up there. And he really brings that. And I don't think he was. I think he's gotten even better a little on defense, or maybe he's trying a little harder this year. Maybe he really wants the MVP. He just looks good. That whole team. And I said this in the first pod that I think that Shea's going to look even better now that his team is better
All right.
because you have to pay attention to more players. So now Shea's got more room to work, and he's cooking, man. And he's hitting the three like kind of at the same clip, I think, but uh, I don't know. His shot looks good. Like from three, it doesn't look like forced like it used to. I feel like he's taking it in more rhythm,
All right.
and so and he's not worried about it. If it's a contested three, he'll even take a contested three. Not saying that's good shot selection, but I have a thing with superstars, and it's not always about
But you
shot
have to keep
selection. It's more about
keep the defense
confidence.
honest. Keep the defense
And it's
honest.
more about confidence. Yeah, it keeps the defense honest. You want them to come out to Shea because it gives him more room to get to the lane, obviously, but also just confidence. I want him to take it with confidence. Like if he's gonna step into it and shoot it like he means it, that's a lot different than being like. Because I used to watch Shea and I feel like that was the one thing where he's like looking hesitant to shoot, and like Ja Morant does that too.
Right.
And then so but anyways, I think that he's been getting way better at that. I think that Shea is like I don't know. He's probably right behind AD. Him and Tatum and AD are like for MVP. But you were saying that you think that OKC didn't look like as good as what do you say that you're not as
Well,
impressed as
not
you
like.
thought?
Well, I like how they look. I just don't. I'm just thinking. I'm really just thinking for playoffs as far as that team because honestly, I haven't seen Caruso do much to be through the
Right.
first four games. I mean, he's played. He's made some plays here and there, but he hasn't really popped off the screen like that to me, in my
Right.
opinion. Case and
He had
Wallace is
one game where he was doing good on defense, but
yeah. Case and Wallace is the shooting regression. I mean, it was kind of expected because he shot really too well last year for a rookie, in my opinion. His shooting regression kind of came. And Chet, I think he's only hit 2 threes so far this season. And his free throw, and what's really concerning with me as far as Chet's shot is the
yeah,
free throw
his three
numbers.
is not hitting,
It's
and
the
his
free
shot
throw.
looks different. Remember we
It's
were
the
talking
free.
about that,
Right, right. It's the free throw numbers with me because I've seen him miss free throw. I don't think I've seen him miss many free throws really last season like that, to be honest.
right?
So
That
I am
scares
keeping
you.
tabs on that. And J Dub has taken more threes, but they haven't really fallen like that yet. I haven't
Mm.
necessarily looked at the numbers, but from the games
Chet
I
is
watched
taking that spot from J Dub as
from
the
J
number
Dub, yeah,
two on that
yeah,
team.
yeah. J Dub is the clear number three, clear number
Yeah,
three.
but he's still good and he still gets
All
buckets,
right,
but and he's still getting better, obviously. But Chet has just taken another leap. And
yeah,
but the three does scare me because Chet's shot looks a little different, but otherwise he's been dominant. So I just see a leap from him, and I see a leap from Shea.
yeah.
And
Those two
this
do
is the
look better.
prime year. They're 26 years old. So Tatum too. He's like 26 years old, about to be 27 years old. That's the right in the meat of your prime. And so like most players that like if you look at all the all-time greats,
Yeah,
they're 20
27.
is like the year where they win MVP, win the championship, like historically, or just reach their pinnacle between like 27 and 29, 30. Um, and so I think even Shea and Tatum are like a little early because they're 26 and they're already
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I feel like reaching that. And so this is going to be good basketball for them for all season. And I think it's going to be a battle between him and obviously Luka's going to pop up in the MVP race. But I think between Shea, Tatum, and Anthony Davis, if he stays healthy, those are probably my top three. I know for a fact that Tatum is going to be like this all season because how everything went in the off season. Like I was saying, how it's unprecedented that he won a championship and he's this motivated and this has this much of a vendetta against the league or against like just to right his like wrongs. And I see that when he's playing. I see that he wants the ball even more. I see that when
Right.
he like when he shoots it, he knows it's going to go in. And towards the end of last year, it wasn't looking like that. So he's back and he looks better than ever. His handle's tight, his passing's better, his decision making's quicker. Everything about Tatum except for this game that he just played tonight, which was not good. But I feel like Tony Brothers got in his head and he just kind of checked out. Not checked out because he was still playing, but he wasn't trying to be as aggressive. And Jalen got it
Right.
going, so it was a bad game. But before the games before that, and just going on into the season, I can see Tatum and Shai really just putting on a show. Like great elite basketball up there with Jokic, up there with Giannis. Like I think they're right up there now. I still got Jokic as the best player in the world. I still obviously Luka is one of the best offensive players in the world, but I think Shai and Tatum are going to be firmly, and by the end of the season, they're going to be firmly right there, like where it's not going to be a gap. Like I feel like last year they were saying that it was a gap.
Hmm.
Jokic, Giannis, and then like everybody else. But I think it's going to be a group of like 4 or 5 now. So that's how
Yeah.
I feel about the MVP and just the best player in the world conversation.
Yeah, okay, I can get behind that. I definitely agree with the Giannis point because I think his defense has taken a slight step back as he's gotten older. I actually made a tweet earlier. I think it was like earlier in the week that Giannis does look kind of old in some sense. Like he's still
He
really
lost
good.
a little step, like a half
Right,
a step.
right, right, right,
Um,
right.
Still dominant on offense and still great on defense. But I know what you mean. Like he doesn't move with the same reaction or same like speed that he used to,
Yeah.
and that happens to everybody. And he's an athletic player that relies on his body and his physical like dominance. So when he does decline, it's gonna be more noticeable. Like
Hmm.
he's not gonna be able to pull a James Harden and just like lose his athletic ability and still be effective.
Hmm.
Um, but right now, he's obviously dominant. But
Nah,
I
yeah,
know
he's
what you
still
mean.
he's
Like
still
his
dominant.
defense has taken a slip, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, I
And
see that.
I've also noticed that he's settled for more jump shots. To be honest.
And I saw him hit a couple dirt shots today, like where he's hitting the one leg
Hmm.
shot, and that's good for him because he can get that off at any time. So if he is hitting that, that's good, and you need that. He's got to get better at that, obviously, as his career goes, because like we were talking about, if he gets like loses a little bit of athletic ability, he's going to need to
Right.
hit that shot a little more. But I don't know. The Bucks are in shambles right now, for real.
Yeah, especially with the middle because I think he's out indefinitely. So, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and even
but
when Middleton plays, it's like, how's he going to play for 2 weeks? I
right,
just and
but
I like Middleton's game, and that's why it sucks because I used to like Middleton's game a lot, but it's
yeah,
and
that's the
he
y'all,
was like
y'all
the
used to
closer for
battle
that
with them.
team.
I used to battle with them a lot, Boston. But yeah, just back
Yeah,
to the Giannis point. I do think that he can that Tatum and Shea can get into those conversations with Giannis is basically based off of the two-way play, which is what keeps Giannis in those for sure 3, 4, 5 talks. So
yeah.
yeah, I think
But
from
both
that
Shea
aspect.
has been better on defense this year.
Mhm.
And he's really great, like I said, as a guard. And Tatum has even been better on defense this
Right.
year. Tatum looks a little bit leaner. Like he
He
gained a lot
does.
of
He
weight
does.
last year, and so this year he's a little more nimble and he's moving around better. He's getting over screens better. He's sliding his feet on guards better, and he's still strong enough to hold up against Brook Lopez or something in the post. So his defense is better this year. Yeah. So I do think that two-way play is going to get them in there, and uh, that's what's going to win a championship. And I think that's why Shea's going so hard on defense right now because I think he feels like his team has a chance to win a championship, and so he's setting the tone early. Like
Hmm.
he saw he got Caruso, who's supposed to be like some great defender, and he probably is like, I'm just as good as
I
this.
gotta
Like,
be right. I gotta be just
yeah,
as
I'm gonna
good,
show
man.
these dudes like I can lock up too, and that's how good that OKC's roster is because Caruso hasn't even really about to do shit. Like he plays like 20 minutes, he doesn't even play that much because they
Right.
got such a good roster. Yeah, they're gonna be good. One other thing we didn't talk about is the Wolves because you thought that the Wolves trade was good for the Wolves, and we already talked about Cat not being that great. against the Celtics, but I think that it was a good overall trade for the Knicks. But what do you think about how Randall's looked so far with them and
Uh,
DiVincenzo?
yeah, Randall in the Lakers game was pretty bad. I mean, it was his first game back in like 8 months. You know,
Yeah,
he hasn't played since January, so I mean, I couldn't really expect him to be too great, especially when AD is the first guy you
guy
play.
he's got to go against. Yeah.
Right, so it's
Not the
kind of
one you want to see.
right. So he kind of had a bad game in the Lakers game, and then he had a really good bounce back game in the Kings game. He was super efficient. I think he went like 5 or 6 from three or something like that. He was really really good in that Kings game. He helped push Minnesota over to a win, and also in the Toronto game, he was pretty good. He was just doing what he wanted for the most part. It looked like same old Randall. So from that standpoint, and his three's been falling so far. Granted, they've only played 3 games, so I guess not really too much of a big sample size for me to really say if he's gonna be a really
No,
good shooter this
he
year or
was
not.
hitting. He was shooting good lately. Besides
Yeah,
that game against the Lakers, he's been playing good, and I think that the Wolves look okay. I'm pretty like they're still waiting to see. Uh, like I don't really know how it's gonna go, but I still feel pretty confident that they're gonna be one of the best teams in the West. I do.
oh yeah,
They got a good defense. They're always gonna have a good defense. Randall's not good on defense, but Cat wasn't good on defense.
right.
So like they're just kind of swapping that out. And Randall's been getting assists.
Yep.
And you know what I loved? It was that Anthony Edwards was saying that he told Julius Randle, "Don't fit in. We'll fit
Do
around
you?
you.
Do you?
We'll fit around you. Don't try to fit around us. We fit around you." And so I think that's why Randall's been playing good because I think remember on the first call when I said that Anthony Edwards. I don't know why the fuck I keep saying Anthony Davis. Anthony Edwards was going to see that he had a dog like Randall and a dog like
Right.
DiVincenzo next to him, and that's going to turn Anthony Edwards up even more.
Yep.
Well, like he loves it. You could tell that he's like kind of embracing it, like, and that's one of the ways that he's embracing it by. Like I love the way Ant is as a leader. I think he has to grow up in certain aspects of his game, making the right decision every time
Uh-huh.
and making the right play every time. When people are open and he's still forcing shots up and shit. That's not how he's gonna win a championship, I don't think.
Right.
But as far as leadership, I would want to follow behind Ant. Like I feel like and especially with dogs, he can rile some dogs up. And so I love that. I love that about the Wolves. I think they're going to be a good team. They're going to have flaws and shit, but they're going to be one of the best teams in the West, just off defense and dogs.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting development about the Wolves, pretty for me, honestly, is the fact that Ant's shooting like 12 threes a game, which is pretty crazy in my opinion. But
He's trying to
honestly,
average 30. That's why.
right, exactly. And through the sample, I'm not gonna lie, he's been pretty good. I think he's out ahead, but I'm pretty sure he's somewhere around like 38 to 40%. He's always been a really good catch and shoot shooter. He's been really good. He's always been really good off the ball. The fact that they have Randall now that can actually like do stuff like get downhill consistently and actually attack the basket consistently and create a little bit and actually be a live dribble passer consistently. That's allowing Ant
Exactly.
to get out the ball way more, and he's taking advantage of that a lot. So I do like that. I do like that. And Dante also so far hasn't really hit shots. I mean, he was better in the Toronto game. He did some classic Dante things, but he hasn't really hit his stride yet. I think it's going to take a minute for him and Randall's look pretty adjusted, but it might take a minute for Dante to adjust because because the way Conley looks so far, Conley hasn't looked great. He looks like he got a year older. He had the Achilles thing last year in the
Yeah.
playoffs. Maybe that sapped him
And
a little
Dante's
bit.
just feeling his way in. He'll start hitting
Right,
shots and playing better. I'm not worried
right,
about
right,
him.
right.
I'm not worried about him at
I'm
all.
not worried about
I just
Dante at
think
all.
they just got traded. They
Right,
just got traded like
right.
last week. It's hard to just
At the
get traded
beginning of
like
training camp.
3 weeks ago, and then just start coming in to a whole new team. And especially when you're a rhythm player, and Dante was playing so good with the Knicks,
Right.
he was playing like at the best of his career, so that kind of threw him off that he got traded. And now it's gonna take him a little bit. I bet by Christmas he's gonna drop like 31 games, or probably before that. But by then he's gonna start hitting. I think, and I don't know. I like that team. I'm more worried about Jaden McDaniels because I don't know if he's gonna take the leap that I thought he would. Like I thought he would eventually turn into like a more skilled offensive player,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just not coming. Like at least not fast enough that as I want. So, um, that's the one piece that I think that if they could like upgrade that position, it might take away a little bit of their defense. But if they can get it with like semblance of good defense there with better offense, then that might take them to like another level. But I like Jaden McDaniels as a player, but I'm just saying if they're going to win a championship, that might be the place where they need to actually make a move. I'm just throwing that out there because like I do like Jaden McDaniels. I'm not trying to, and I know Anthony Edwards likes him too.
Yeah, he loves J Mac.
And so
I,
he'd probably be like, "Fuck no, you're not trading my boy." But
Yeah, same draft class. They've been buddies since the draft. I think the main thing with Jaden to me is though, I mean, because last year he had some moments in the playoffs where he was pretty effective offensively. I just think he's never really gotten a chance to really get the touches ever since like maybe his first or second year in the league when Ant was
yeah,
when they were both rookies and things like that. They haven't just really given him a chance to really expand his game because the game that
but
I look
what
to.
is his best offensive thing?
Oh,
And
I
that's the
think.
thing I don't know about because he's not good
Okay.
at bad at offense. He does like everything at like a average
Pretty
level.
decent rate, yeah.
But what does he do good where you can like this is the plays we can run for him or like this is what we want from him because he's not a good spot up shooter. He's just like
He's
he's just
average.
passable. He's very passable. Like just at the right up to the fucking line of passable shooter. So I don't know. I just his defense is elite. So that's what matters, and that's why their like identity is like that. But I was just throwing that out there. It's like I don't know. I just wanted them to maybe make a leap this year. I was kind of hoping that he would be like a little bit better offensive player. Like, why can't you, uh, you know, find like a couple go-to moves, just like two, two like go-to moves that you go to every time. Because every time he gets the ball, I'm like, what is he? I feel like he doesn't even know what his like go-to move is. It's just
Yeah,
like,
he just usually starts doing like crossovers or like or just like size ups to try to. His offensive game is kind of weird. I mean, he does have like the little 1 foot, the little one leg, because he's a pretty good pull up shooter in the mid range occasionally. Like he does like to do like those little pull up shots,
yeah, his
especially
mid-range
as a
is just
smaller
like basically
defender.
his base, his go-to. Well,
Right,
just try
right,
to
right,
pull up in the mid-range, but
right.
it's like the worst shot in basketball, like numbers wise. So, like, I don't know. I want him to be better. I feel like if he was a better, or if he took a mini leap, then it would take the. All right, so we're gonna do some quick takes around the league. I already know that we have to talk about Golden State because
Yeah.
that's your like second team besides the Bulls. Trouble in San Fran. What's going on?
Unfortunately, man, in that Clippers game, Steph got hurt on a cut going to the basket. He comes out, he stretches his foot, tries to come back in, and he re-injures himself, and
No,
he leaves, and he's limping off. So they said like pretty much a week. I'm not sure. He has a history of foot injuries. He's 36. The chance they take this slowly, and even if he does come back during the time, it's like it's just kind of he has a history of it of just having injured feet, and I don't. I
yeah,
just don't. I just don't like it as
it's
a start
concerning.
to the season. Yeah, we're in game 3, and he's already hurt, and he's our number one option at 36, and he's 6'3". We've never seen a 6'3" guard be a number one this deep into their career. Like we've never. I mean, James Harden's doing it right now, but I mean, those two guys are like the only ones doing it.
Only ones,
So it's
and
like,
I mean, it will, oh, so keep going because I want you to talk about your team because I
yeah,
got something after you're done. Go ahead.
okay, yeah. So it's like I don't really feel too good about that. But besides that, the team itself has looked pretty good. I mean, if they are able to stay healthy, I think they can still get like 50 wins because I mean, I like because Wiggins had a great game last night. He looks like he's back. I mean, JK's been up and down. He looked better last game. Draymond's been good. Pods,
Kaminga hasn't looked that good.
yeah, Kaminga's been super,
You we can keep it real about Kaminga. He hasn't
especially
taken
the
the leap.
Utah, especially the
There's no
Utah
leap
game. He's
for
been pretty
Kaminga
bad.
yet. And I know you like
Yeah,
Kaminga, but from what I'm watching him, because I
he
think
hasn't been that
Kaminga could be
good.
a good player, but he hasn't,
He hasn't been
and
that good.
I don't know, maybe he's just not a good fit with this team, and maybe in like 2 years he's just slow. Some people are like
It takes a
just
minute.
slow learner,
It's
yeah,
sometimes it
and
just clicks sometimes with some people,
late bloomers.
and he
Yeah.
clearly has a talent to where it could just click with him one day. It just may not end up being in Golden State, especially because I think the Wiggins and Kaminga lineups. I mean, I like them defensively, especially, but they are kind of weird. They kind of do make the offense kind of clunky
Yeah,
sometimes, and starting him, Trace and Draymond, like that's a really really good defensive
that's
lineup, but
really
it's kind
clunky.
of weird. Yeah, it is really clunky offensively, and it shows when you go to the bench unit. You bring in Milton, you bring in Buddy, you bring in Pods, and the offense is just flowing better.
Yeah, they're
So
splashing. Buddy's Buddy's
And Buddy's
splashing,
doing his thing.
everybody's splashing. So yeah, I get that. It's like an offensive defensive lineup, and without Steph, I mean,
Yeah,
and we talked about this. The West is brutal, and injury could drop you down to the lottery.
yep.
And that Golden State might be the team if Steph's not going to come back. But if he does, or I think he's going to come back.
Yeah, he's
But
gonna come back. It's just the long term
if he's not
concern with me.
100%, or if it's going to have be reoccurring, then they're going to have trouble getting to the playoffs.
Right.
But let's just pray that he doesn't. And I'm hoping that Steph's going to be all right. But it could be trouble in San Fran, so I feel like we had to bring that up. Um, I want to talk about this tweet that I saw tonight from Evan Turner, infamous Evan Turner, number 2 overall pick, uh, was a kind of a bust and was never that good. He had a couple good years on the Celtics, honestly, because Brad Stevens used to just like squeeze the best out of every bum ass
Yeah.
player he had. But he got Evan Turner a contract at Portland, like a stupid one, and then he was never good again.
Right.
Anyways, I'm only talking about Evan Turner for one reason, because he said adulting is realizing that Tyrese is mid. And I initially, because I'm kind of like unk status, so I thought he was talking about the singer, but everybody was blowing it out and saying that he was talking about Tyrese Halliburton because it was right at the time that Halliburton was playing.
Right.
So like people were just putting two together. I don't know. I think he was talking about the singer, but anyways, what do you think about it?
I
Evan
mean,
Turner talking crazy about Tyrese Halliburton.
I seen it. If it was directed at Tyrese Halliburton, I mean, the way he started the season hasn't been great. I mean, not to say that he's not a great player, but I could see
Yeah,
maybe why somebody would say that about him. But I'm gonna just go with that he was talking about the singer, in my opinion.
yeah.
So
And if you think
yeah,
about it, Kendrick Perkins like talks crazy about players all the time. So I guess if
yeah, he
Kendrick Perkins
does.
could talk crazy, and he was just like an enforcer, and he was never that skilled, then I guess Evan Turner can talk about Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese hasn't looked that good this year. The Pacers haven't looked that great this year. Um, Pascal Siakam looked good tonight,
Yeah, he
and
did.
he's been consistent. But I don't know, Tyrese. Without they need like peak Tyrese, just like the Nuggets need peak Jamal Murray to be like good. If Indy's not gonna get peak Tyrese, then they're not gonna be that good. Um, what else? All right, we definitely gotta talk about your boy Koulibaly.
Yes,
We gotta talk about your
my
Wizards.
guy,
I know you
man.
love Bub Carrington. You told me Bub Carrington looks better than Reed Shepard, so I want to hear about the Wizards.
Oh yeah, the Wizards. I mean, the Wizards. I just think they're. I just think that this is the first time the Wizards have had an actual direction in quite some time. Just the way that they're building their team. I like the. I like the Bilal Koulibaly, especially with the Bilal Koulibaly and Keyshawn George picks, two former guards who grew and became wings. Right, those kind of guys are, you feel me? Like, especially you see it with, I noticed it with Keyshawn in game one that he has some real ball handling ability along with his size. So I just kind of like, and Koulibaly as well. You know, last season he wasn't
Mhm.
really too much of a ball handler just because he had a bunch of guards on the team. He had like Jordan Poole, he had Denny, who was a small forward who also plays the position. He's kind of taking a lot of his touches. So just coming in this season, I just know that he's just more refined as an offensive player, right? It just and combined with his I think he's potentially an All NBA defender. What he did to
Mhm.
Trae Young tonight was pretty amazing. He made him shoot 2 for 15.
Oh, he was guarding them too.
Yeah, he guarded Trae Young all
Wow,
game. He shot two for
and
15.
he's got pretty good like on offense. From what I watched of him, he's
He's
got pretty good feel.
pretty good touch, pretty good feel. He's a
He's got good
capable jump
feel. Like
shooter. He's
you
very
get
very
athletic players and they don't got good feel, and so when you get one
right,
that has feel, that's
right.
the Wizards have something working with him. And
And
SARS looked actually really good on defense.
I hate him on offense, but I love him. I love him defensively. He's so good
Yeah,
defensively.
they just got to teach him to do a couple things on offense, and he's really good on defense. Yeah,
Right. But yeah,
and
like especially Koulibaly in that Celtics game, he had like 6 assists.
so
He
what
can pass the
about
ball.
Bub?
Oh yeah, Bub hasn't shot. Well, actually, Bub was good in this game today. He only took like I think he only took like
I
five or
loved
six
him in
shots.
summer league.
Yeah, now Bub. Now I love Bub as a prospect. I thought he was the best guard in this draft. To be fair, in my opinion,
I
outside of
remember you saying that Bub Carrington was the best guard,
yeah,
and
him and
I
Toppage.
mean I like a lot of guards. Mine's Stephon Castle. Like I love Stephon Castle. I think that was my rookie of the year
Castle
pick,
looked
and
good.
so far I'll say that I think they need to give him the rock because Chris Paul does not look good,
Yeah,
and it
Chris Paul.
hasn't been that
Yeah,
good.
Chris
It
Paul
hasn't
and
been a good
notice.
experiment with Chris Paul to me.
Yeah, Chris Paul and Golden State, man. I tried to warn people. I mean, I understand that he can throw, that he can be a point guard. He can throw
Yeah,
Wemby passes and things like that. But it's
yeah.
just
But
simply he's not
he's never gonna get the chance to throw a lob, or
right
of
because the
course he's gonna get
defense.
cum lobs off, but because all you got to do is switch that pick and roll.
Right,
Uh,
because Wemby's
and
not a post player.
Wemby's not going to post up and kill the mismatch, and then Chris Paul is going to be stuck there having an ISO, and that's what you want is Chris Paul trying to ISO because he can't make shit,
Yeah,
and he's got no lift.
Chris Paul had like 15 rim touches last year, and I'm not sure people expected him to do for the Spurs offense necessarily. Besides, like kind of make it look better
He's
in some
teaching them.
ways.
He's teaching
Right.
them maybe like IQ stuff, but they need to give my boy Stephon Castle the ball.
Yeah, not Castle.
But anyways, go ahead with Bub.
Oh
Finish
yeah,
up.
I just love Bub's game. He just knows how to play basketball. I just love him. I mean, I like him as
Yeah.
a 3 point shooter. I like him in the mid range. I like him just. I mean, he's not a
He's a
great.
fun guy. He's a
Yeah, he's
fun
not.
guy to watch.
Yeah, he's not a great rim finisher quite yet. But you can just see you can see the little things with him when you
Yeah, he's
watch him play.
nifty. He's got a good handle.
And really, honestly, what's been most impressive about me with Bub is the defensive end. He's been pretty good on defense to me, to be honest. You
Really.
know. Yeah, so I like him on both ends. I just like him as a potentially a 2 way guard in the league one day, and he's a pretty good passer as well. And
And that's why
he's
the Ball Up Top podcast is elite too, because like I watch certain games and you watch like almost completely different teams than me a lot of times. And that's what I love because that's why we come together and I haven't been watching the Wizards, but you can put me up on stuff like that. Like you were telling me about the guy from Toronto. What's his
oh yeah,
name?
Mogba or Mobo. It's something along those lines. But
Yeah.
he just reminds me of Draymond so much, and he's a kind of a more athletic, longer version,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Just the way that he plays. I love his game so much.
And that's why you're one of my favorite followers because you're always like putting me up on, or like talking about players that I'm not really paying attention to, and so like then I check them out, and it's good to have people like that in your life. So I fuck with you, and I
Sir.
like that, and I like that you always like watching different games that I'm not watching because then I can bring shit to the table you're not. But let's wrap up these quick takes because we've been going a long time. We love talking ball. We could probably go
Yep.
for like another 2 hours, but Kobe White, you said Kobe White, the gas has to die. That's what you told me.
Yeah, man, I love my man. I love my boy Kobe White, man. But it's like, listen, bro. Like, honestly, and I love him as a player. I love, like, I just think I think he's just a supercharged six man, just the way he plays basketball.
Yeah,
Because he's not really a playmaker, honestly. And he's kind of like when Kobe's cooking, it's the Kobe White show.
yeah. On
And I,
like a contender, he was like a six man,
yeah,
and people are trying to put him as like a star player, or might
yeah,
be a star player.
I seen people putting him in as like a tier one role player, and it's like outside of score, like, what does he do? And he plays my team. I like Kobe a lot.
Yeah, like he's like a like I would say that Kobe White. Their games aren't exactly the same, but he's a lesser version of what Cam Thomas is.
Yeah, that's some way to
Where
say
they're
it. I can
like
see that.
Cam Thomas is like a super six man you could ever have. Like in like on a very good contender, I could see like Cam Thomas being like the best six man like ever,
Right,
coming in and just like getting 30 like a Jamal Crawford sometimes, or just hitting big shots and getting buckets like a Jason Terry, like one of those great six men.
right.
But I couldn't see him on a contender as a starter. I just can't. Like
Yeah,
not right
nah.
now. Maybe that game he'll like get older because I've seen this happen with players where they get older and they realize that yeah I'm a bucket, but this I'm never gonna
I
win
have to
like
be
this.
more. Right.
Yeah, and I have to learn. Like kind of DeRozan kind of did that when he got to San Antonio, started being a better passer
Became a passer.
and shit. Yeah, so like I've seen players do that, and I think that he could. Cam Thomas could do that one day, but I see Kobe White as like a little bit of a version of a Cam Thomas, like a super six man, and I know what you mean. So like the gas kind of has to die down a little because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
and you're the one that was telling me that. I'm not like gas. I'm not over here gassing up
I
Kobe
just
White.
don't want him because I just don't want him to be set up for failure because I feel like because I've heard like some like what are we doing here? Even though I love
No.
Kobe White, I love Kobe White as a player. He's a really good
Yeah.
player. And when he's got it going, he's like he's really
And
good.
and it's like the both are so weird because it could be one night Levine's going crazy, the
Yep.
next night Kobe White's going crazy, and then you got Lonzo. Like they're kind of fun watch too, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I want them to blow it up, and so they could just figure out what they're going to do for the future. Because obviously, this all these
Yeah.
players on this team are not going to be like the team that they go forward with. So your boy Cade Cunningham.
Oh
Now
man.
you love Cade Cunningham.
Yeah,
This
that
is
boy
all you
been
talk
cooking.
about. Like the people need to know that listen to Ball of Top podcast and like Cade Cunningham. This is like what he DMs me about fucking Cade Cunningham all the time. Every time he does something good, so go in.
Yeah, man, I've been defending my boy K for years, man. It's like it's just and
And he's
it's just
playing great.
because yeah, and it's because like I mean he plays in Detroit, so he plays on a very very bad team and he gets blamed for like his inefficiencies and he turns the ball over a lot, this that and third. And it's like you have to understand the situation of the team that he's on one of the worst teams in the league, and especially from last year to at the end of last year he kind of
Mm.
second half of last year he started to kind of make a leap, right? But people I guess
But he had no shooters. He had no
right. He had
spacing.
no shooters, and then you come
Impossible, man.
right, and
Impossible.
then you come
It's
into
like
this
Drake May on
year.
the Patriots.
You come
Like
into
it's just
this
this impossible situation.
right. Speaking of yeah, that receiver room is kind of crazy in New England right
Yeah,
now.
and that's what I mean. That's how what Cade's been going through.
Right.
Same type shit. Like, it's just like, damn, bro, he couldn't get no. Their team's like at least a little bit better spacing this year because he's a killer in the mid range.
Right.
He's like a throwback player almost, like a Carmelo Anthony. Well, he's a way better passer than I call him, but I'm just mean like he's like kind of strong,
Yeah,
tough.
a post up big player in the
Yeah,
mid
and he
range.
and he can kill you in the mid range. And so, but he's the reason why I like Cade so much is because he can also pass
He's a
and play
high
like point
IQ,
guard.
very high
Man,
IQ
I
player,
would
and
love to
does
see him on a better team. I think that
I'm a,
he's, I hope that the Pistons keep building it up. Actually, I got a lot of respect for. I was the Celtics Pistons game. They gave us the strongest game of the
yeah
year.
yeah for sure.
Even harder game than the Bucks.
They did last year.
Hardest game we played.
They gave y'all a good game last year too.
They always play us good, but and Cade. I actually went to a game at TD Garden with Cade, and I watched Cade live, and that's when I really fell in love with his game because I realized how good for his size, how good his handle,
Right.
how good his IQ was, how
Right.
good he was from like passing, skip passes, shit like that. Because live when you go to a game, you kind of like notice
You
it a
see
little
it
bit more, the
differently.
little things.
Right.
And yeah, so I really like Cade, but I was impressed the other night because Ivy was
Uh-huh.
finishing. He was super fast, and he was giving the Celtics trouble. Duran, and Duran's really good. He didn't miss a shot. He was 100% for the field. I mean, all of them were dunks, but
Right.
like he's really good, and Cade was setting him up. Those three are like building blocks. They're pretty good cornerstones. Cade is definitely a great cornerstone, and those other two are like. Uh, Ivy has some CTE moments where he's
Yeah,
decision
I
making is
personally hate
questionable.
his decision making a lot of the times, but he's a raw athlete that can he has a little skill to his game. He just doesn't
And he
understand
can
how to make the
finish. Like he
game
gets
win.
up there with the bigs, and he can finish up there. And it's hard to find guards that can do that.
Right.
So hopefully he gets his IQ. Like, the game slows down for him, and it will over the years. There's been players that because you're younger than me, but I've watched for so long. There's been players like I've seen like Ivy that they start off where their decision making sucks, and they just
And it
get better over
grows.
the years. Yeah. So I think that it'll be better. And Detroit is a fun team. And I'm just glad that Cade's got a little bit more room to work because now people can actually see how good he is. So
Right.
that's good. We already talked about Indy, so I'm not going to talk about them. We talked about Maxey showing up the other games,
Right.
dropping 45, so we don't have to talk about it. All right, I got one. The big Jimmy question. You text me. What's the big Jimmy question?
Pretty much. How is he gonna look this season? Because in the Magic game he looked absolutely terrible.
Right.
Like washed. Didn't have 2 points. He didn't really do much. Then
And
we see
then what do you do that other game?
Then we see in the Charlotte game, he has like I forgot how many free throws he shot. He shot a bunch of free. It was a classic Jimmy game. He got to the free throw
Yeah.
line a bunch. He was in the mid
Right.
range, and he just
He
controlled the
lives
game
in the free throw.
defensively. So it's like,
I hate Jimmy because he
yeah,
lives at the free throw line. I'm
Yeah,
talking about hate playing against him, but
yeah. About to say, yeah, Jimmy can control the game, just getting to the free throw line. So it's like, which version of that player we're gonna get? That's why I said
yeah.
the big Jimmy question because if we're getting the version of Jimmy that we saw in the Magic game, that guy's not getting an extension. He's getting traded. If we get the version of Jimmy that we got in the Hornets game, they can make a run. So it's going to be monitoring
And
that
it's
all
hard to
season.
play good against Orlando. Every wing has trouble against Orlando, so I'll
They
just
do.
say that right now.
They do.
It's hard to play good against Orlando. That's one of the reasons probably why Jimmy had such a bad game. But I'm not worried about Jimmy's contract year, Jimmy. I text you too. I said, don't worry. Jimmy's going to be, it's contract year, Jimmy. He's going to be getting triple doubles. He's going to be getting 8 assist games. He's going to have games where he has stinkers because he's older and he has a game like or goes against a tough team like the Magic. He might play bad, but he's going to get to the line. He falls down every fucking time he shoots. He's going to be
He
at the
does.
line. And so, but he's one of the highest IQ players and instinctual players you'll ever see. And Jimmy's so good, and I think that he's gonna have a good year still. Like he's gonna have bad games, but I'm more like thinking about what Miami's gonna do as far as are they gonna keep the same team or are they gonna make moves? Because this is not a championship team. And I know you said at the beginning, the first pod, that you thought that they could give Celtics a run, and who knows, they could still because we've said that where they've had taken teams that
Yeah, we
were
tried to pick
almost
him off
less
so many
talented than this
times.
one and done a lot. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm not confident that they're going to be like a championship team. So we'll see what Pat Riley and them do. But I'm not worried about Jimmy. I know he's going to try to earn a contract, but if he does get traded, I think either way he's going to play good. If he gets traded, because he's going for contract. So what else? What about the Blazers? You said the Blazers are moving you.
Oh yeah, I love. Oh yeah, I just love their defensive presence. To be honest, guys like Tamani Kamara, guys like Jeremy Grant's been pretty good on that end so far this season. And Donovan Clingan, their backup center, I love his game. I comped him to Andrew Bogut coming out in the draft, and he looks pretty good. He's a real anchor. He's a pretty good
That's a good
passer.
comp. I like the
He's a
Andrew Bogut comp for him.
yeah yeah. That's who
Bogut was
we
more skilled. Like young Bogut was a better offensive player, but yeah,
right. But yeah, I just like how he's a real defensive anchor. Like in the paint, he was able to slow down Zion in both games. He held Zion. I think Zion's shooting like something crazy, like under 20% from the field in the at the rim, and that's a lot of that's clinging, to be honest. And
yeah.
Tumani, a guy that I think is going to be
And
a long
Aiden's been playing
defender.
good because
Yeah, Aiden has
I
been
think
playing good.
Klingon got that fire under his ass.
Yeah,
So now Aiden's playing good. And they've been better, pleasantly surprised that they've actually been playing pretty good for Chauncey Billups. Um, and Klingon, I knew was going to be good because his defense was crazy in college. So, not saying that it always translates, but
all right.
I was pretty sure that his defense and his rebounding and his effort were going to be good. And he's the big of the future for them for sure. Like whatever happens with Aiden, long term, it's definitely Klingon. And I want to see Shaden Sharp, man. When's he
Yeah, I
supposed to
can't
come
wait
back?
for my guy to get back, man. He had a torn labrum to send him back in the left shoulder. It said he'll be back in like 4 to 6 weeks. So yeah, when they get back on the court, that's gonna be a super exciting, fun,
Because
young
we got the
bad
number
team.
one Shaden Sharp stain right here,
Oh yeah, that's my guy.
Jabari.
That's my guy, man. That's my guy, man. I can't wait to see him back on the court.
But we had a good pod, man. I think that we hit on pretty much everything. We'll be back next week and tap into some more shit because the season just started, so
Yes, sir.
it's only gonna get better, and we're gonna get better. We already decided and told each other we're gonna get better every single pod. I think this podcast was a little bit better than the last one. So, what do you got to say before we leave?
Man, shout out to you, Brad. You know what I'm saying? Just for expiring the pod, bringing me on the pod, and I'm happy to be a guest here, man.
And you inspire me, though, because I wouldn't wanted to do it with anybody else. Honestly, nobody else, bro. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
So
Same here.
yeah, we'll be back next week, man. All up top.
We out.